yeah, I don't know. I had to do some. So I don't know. Now that I have your attention, let me gather my friends so we can talk about economics.
Wait, you stole my car.
Yeah, sorry about that. Needed it to talk about economics.
I've been shot, stabbed, left for dead. Walked through every hood in LA. Bandana on.
So, economic inequality is a difference found in various measures of economic well-being among individuals in a group, among groups in a population, or among countries.
What's up, man?
So I recently read an article that talks about inequality and the 4 different points that Joseph Stiglitz makes towards inequality. The first one is about innovation. The second one is about monopoly power and tax privileges. The third one is about connecting lack of investment in infrastructure, education, and technology with income inequality. And the fourth one is the sinking hole of inequality, which leads to less education and more inequality. And today we want to argue that those 4 points are wrong.
So one of the points that Stiglitz made was, for example, with innovation, that the innovators capture the biggest piece of the cake while the workers don't get a big piece. So that actually contributes to larger innovation. Am I wrong?
I think you're missing a really significant point. I think you have to consider it in the long term. So there's an innovation, and of course initially the innovators thrive most from that new innovation. But over the long term it generates an immense amount of opportunity for workers all around the world, and the best example of that would be Apple. Steve Jobs benefited initially with his partner from Macintosh and from the start of the company, but up to this point in time today, they have generated and created an immense amount of opportunities for workers around the world.
Basically, another thing that we shouldn't ignore is the role incentives play in the economy. Incentives play a vital role in the workforce, and given that inequality is bad means that everybody should more or less have the same amount of wealth. Try explaining for example, a doctor that he should earn the same as, for example, a construction worker. Incentives are a vital role in the economy that which push people, saying that if you acquire a skill and if you work hard, you get a job and create more wealth for yourself. If you take that part away, it's going to be inefficient.
So apparently there's some guy at the supermarket that knows some stuff about economics. We're gonna go check it out.
Another point that he makes is that the rich have privileges that others don't have. So for example, tax cuts and everything. But that kind of misses the point, because tax cuts are not as much responsible for inequality. They are just bad policies in general. A banker making millions and millions of dollars while bankrupting their own, firm and ruining their clients is just, in general, a bad thing to do. It has nothing to do with inequality. Thank you. Distortion leads to inequality, so meaning that, for example, the rich getting tax cuts is responsible for inequality. But I think it just refers to bad policies and bad practices that are just bad, independently from inequality or not. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Yes, can you hand me one of those? Perfect.
All of them. Let's get all of them. Okay, very nice.
Of course, some of the people have arrived in the top 1% by questionable means, like, for example, bankrupting their firms. Of course, some of the top 1% got into the top 1% by questionable means, like, for example, bankrupting their companies, willingly bankrupting their companies and ruining their clients while making millions. But that's just, as mentioned, bad practices. This cannot be a point of inequality. It's not the main reason of inequality. And taking away income, like, for example, Stiglitz suggests, taking away income from the rich and giving it out to the poor is just as negative as inequality.
Point number 4 is that the sinking hole of inequality leads to less education and more inequality. Okay, a really good example for this is that nowadays the US produces so many graduates as never before.
I think